First of all, I would like to apologize to tonight's audience and the viewers at home. We will not be airing the Steve Doocy cooking segment tonight. We apologize to Mr. Doocy, but you'll still be able to get his new book, Cooking with Crisco, for free. Instead, we have a very special show tonight, so let's welcome our guest. She's still quite humorous with a fetus in her uterus. New York Times best-selling author, publisher, contributor, captain. She's from San Francisco, but still appreciates indoor plumbing. Co-host of Outnumbered, Emily Campagno. His deltoid can deflect an asteroid. New York Times bestselling author, comedian, and former NWA world champion, Tyrus. And he loves Diet Coke, but hates the woke, choosing this insanity over Sean Hannity. Let's crank it up to 11 for President 45 and 47. The man who finally fighting out of the red corner from Queens, New York, the 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. There you go. So, Mr. P, how's your golf game?
Well, haven't been thinking about it too much lately. I always said golf is a very dangerous game.
It really is. It really is, especially if they're playing with you.
Yeah, that's true. That's
what? That was a mean joke.
Pretty sad.
Did you? If they had told you that the shooter was there, would you have tried to take him out with your 3-wood?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. If I knew. Actually, the Secret Service did a great job. They saw the barrel of a gun, big gun.
Yeah.
And it came out through bushes. And how many people would see that? First, you know, he really was very exceptional to have done it. And we've been going through a lot of it. We're getting very good at it, but I don't want to say that too loudly because we don't want to bring any jinxes along, Tyrus. Right? But it's
it is. I mean, at least he could have yelled 4.
This is not a good thing to have practice at.
No.
Like, you're getting really good at stopping assassinations of Donald Trump. It's great. But I want to ask you, so Kamala Harris and the president, Joe Biden, if he's still president, we don't know. They called you after you got shot at and to wish you well, to say all these nice things.
They did.
But they're the same people that moments before say you're a threat to democracy, an existential threat, worse than Hitler. Does that mean that everything they say is full of?
Well, you know, both of the shooters, one is dead and the other one is in prison. And it was really great work, again, by Secret Service. And a woman who saw somebody running and running for the car because he was caught and the Secret Service agent started shooting at him, didn't do any talking, said just, that's a barrel of a gun, started shooting, which was amazing. That he saw it, and then he started shooting. And so this man is running to the car, and a woman, of course, woman's always a woman, right?
We just found out,
No, but think about that. How smart. Who would do this? She sees somebody running, and she didn't like the way he looked. He looked very suspicious, and followed him, and took the car, parked it right behind his, and started taking pictures of the license plate. Who would do that?
A Karen.
And then sent the picture to the sheriff, who's a great sheriff of Palm Beach County, and sent the pictures to the sheriff's office, and they got him in a high-speed chase down the highway.
Yeah.
But who would do that? I mean, I said, out of 1,000 incidents, would that ever happen? And they said, very rarely a thing like that. So she's very much of a heroine, right? Heroine.
Yeah. You know, it blows my mind, like how you take these events so, not lightly, but it's almost casually. The way, like, I get more angry, you know, when my pant pocket gets caught on a doorknob. I get angrier about that than you get angry about getting shot at. It doesn't. How do you process that?
Well, number one, do I have a choice?
Yeah.
Right? What am I gonna do? Right?
Yeah.
Do we have a choice? But you know, it's interesting. I was thinking a lot about it over the last period of time since Butler, and being president is a very dangerous job because with a race car driver, that's a dangerous job. It's like 0.1% die. With a bull rider, I think bull riding looks pretty scary, right?
Yeah.
It's a little bit more than that die. With a president, what is it, 6% or 7%? It's the most dangerous profession there is. So if you want to be president, I have a lot of friends that wanted to run. They're thinking about maybe not doing it. But here's the only good thing is that it's always a consequential president that gets shot at. And fortunately, so far, I've been very lucky. Or something is greater than all of us.
Ooh. It is.
Something is up there. Someone is up there, maybe watching over us.
I think he's voting for you.
Yeah. It's funny. I always thought the most dangerous job was feeding The View. But you bring up God, and you've almost been killed twice. Do you think more about your own mortality and what happens after you move on?
Yeah, not about mortality, but I do think more about God because, Butler was really the greatest of all miracles. If I'm not looking over there, and I mean a full turn, exactly 90 degrees, I wouldn't be here right now, and your ratings would be a little bit lower, perhaps.
Yeah. We'd have Kilmeade there.
We have to tell the story of how we first met. The ratings over. Remember that one week he just played that thing, but I do think about that because the chart. It was basically an immigration chart. We had our lowest numbers that we've ever had in immigration, and I very rarely use it, maybe 15, 20%. It's always on my left, and it's always at the end of a speech. So now I said, bring down the chart right at the very beginning, almost like the first sentence of the speech. Bring down that chart because immigration's such a big thing now with, our country being basically taken over by Venezuela and lots of other people. So I said, bring down the chart, and the chart drops down, and I go, look at those numbers, and I look over to the right, and ping, and that was not, I knew something was definitely wrong, and it was a mess. I touched, I said, that's unusual.
Do you remember when you showed it to me?
I showed it.
Yeah, you showed it to me. You said, I know people aren't going to believe this, so Gutfeld, take a look at my ear.
That's right. We met at the convention.
Yeah.
And I said, who am I going to show it to? We have a lot of guys. They'll say it didn't exist. And I actually did have such confidence in him, and he's really a very special guy, talented guy, good guy, great guy. And I said, if I'm going to show it, let's do it with Gutfeld.
Yes.
And
that's amazing. It's amazing.
Because it happened right after.
Yeah, how did you get him to see the top of your ear?
Well, I sat in a low chair.
Okay, thank you.
But you know what? It was true. And I took the bandages off very carefully. Yeah. And I showed him. He said, "That's nasty."
Yes,
that was nasty. But
I kind of wanted to touch it, but I knew I would have been tackled. And I would have enjoyed it. But it's interesting to see the response to this second attempt. Every time you're under a bigger threat, the media still blames you even more.
Yeah.
It's almost as though they don't see their own role in this. What do you make? Have you just basically accepted this as a fact?
I think so, yeah. Look, the media is extremely dishonest, extremely corrupt, actually. Look at the debate. I walked off, I said, that's debate. They said I'm the GOAT in debates, because I had a lot of debates and I became president. And the GOAT means greatest of all time. He's a GOAT. But I said, what a great stage. And I walked off that stage, and I thought I had the best debate. And I was very unfairly treated by the anchor. I'm not fans of those guys anymore. And his hair was better 5 years ago than it is now. Okay? That happens. That happens with the clock.
I mean, who among us?
That happens with the clock. But, they came at me on everything like crime.
Yeah.
I said, the crime is rampant. He said, crime is down. I said, crime is down? Who would think it's... Without even knowing... And I was right. The following day, DOJ announced numbers. I don't know who it was in DOJ, but somebody over there likes me. That crime is up 45%, murders up, numbers like you wouldn't even believe. And anybody would know that without even seeing charts. But it turned out to be a false attack. They attacked the bloodbath. That was referring to the auto industry. Right. You know all these things.
Yeah.
Charlottesville was totally debunked by everybody, including Laura. Laura did a whole show on it, how it's so ridiculous.
And even Snopes, which is a left-wing
That's right.
site.
They even said.
Yeah.
But all of them, and they didn't correct her once, and they corrected me everything I said practically, and I think 9 times or 11 times, and the audience was absolutely. They went crazy. And the real, I walked off, I said, that was a great debate. I loved it. You got a lot of people watching. I guess we had 75 million people watching, something like that. and you have to do well. You can't do badly. For instance, Biden didn't do so well in the previous debate because I had the 2 debates. I had one. We actually had 2 debates. You know, I had one against a man, and then they said, he's not doing well, take him out, put in a new one. And if she doesn't do well, I wonder if they're going to take her out. Just keep putting her. Let's see if we can get it right eventually. No, but a thing like that's never happened before. It's never, you know, it's like a fighter. He knows more about fighting, but I love the fighting. We love Dana White, all those guys. Dana is great.
Well, your
right?
history in boxing is second to none.
I'm more Mike Tyson fights than anybody.
Yep.
Mike is great, and they're all great. And they're, you know, amazing people, really. It's a very hard thing to be a fighter. Number one, you have to be able to take hundreds of shots to the face within a couple of rounds and enjoy going out for the 5th round.
Yes.
You know, there aren't a lot of guys. A lot of great athletes have tried to be fighters. It doesn't work out so well. Very rarely does it work out. But this was something that was a very special moment. I thought this was a tremendous debate. And when you look at it, you know, it's interesting. Now that they're reviewing it, it was all word salad from her. The first question, I said, what kind of an answer is that? But the fake news said, oh, she did well. No matter what you do, if I were Winston Churchill, he was a great debater, by the way, and an elegant debater, if I were Winston Churchill, they would say, well, he was okay, but he wasn't special tonight. That was the kind of stuff.
You were exactly the same as the previous debate. That's what, if you look at it, there was.
I think so.
Yeah, there was no difference.
I actually wanted that attitude. You know, I've had different attitudes, right? Yeah. And you never know about debate. It's a little like Mike Tyson said. He said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. And there's a lot of truth to that, right?
No, yeah. I mean, you walked in, you caught 3 before you even said hello to you.
Well, I mean, I had people telling me that I'm wrong about things where I'm totally right. I was right about just about all of that stuff, that they were correcting me. And I think my only regret is that I wanted to be elegant and I didn't want to go after the anchors. I wish I did, in a way.
Well, that's our job. We took care of them.
Now.
We got
all right, we got to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with more from the future president. Celebs can't quit Donald Trump. Roll it.
Have you thought about the possibility he might use the power of the federal government against you personally?
Yeah, I have, but I'm comforted in the fact that he's coming after you first.
Clooney should get out of politics and go back to television.
I will if he does.
I don't hate the guy. I hate the people who vote for him. I think they're stupid. I don't think I do. I'll be honest with you. I have no respect for you.
You could be president. Do you ever think about anything like that?
No.
Really, never?
No.
Why?
I wouldn't make a good president.
You don't think you'd be good?
I wouldn't really pass any of the things that you have to pass to, but I guess Trump did it.
Yeah, no. you would be a Boy Scout like a parent.
Yeah.
Well, that didn't age well for either of them.
Whoops.
So, Mr. Trump, the thing that I think my theory is that famous people don't like it when their fame is put in proper perspective, when it's dwarfed by somebody with more fame. So they prefer to be on the hierarchy of fame. They want to be on top. I notice a lot of these guys, it's an emotional response to the fact that you're bigger, more well-known. Does that make sense?
Well, I know some of them, and like Howard, I was on Howard Stern's show as much as anybody, and he was great at that time, and then he went woke.
Yeah.
And since he's gone woke, his ratings have gone down the tubes, and he sort of went anti-Trump for a couple of reasons. But I was on his show a lot.
Yeah.
In fact, he has a best of. Did you ever see the best of Howard Stern? I don't want to promote it necessarily, but and I was there for just about all of them. The best of. We had good shows. It was good, but he's changed, and he doesn't do the ratings anymore.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't have to. He's almost finished. Kat, do you remember Howard Stern?
No, but you've been on every show. I mean, you've been on TV a lot.
A lot of shows.
I mean, would you rule out? I'm not saying now, but would you ever rule out doing reality TV again? Like, what about hosting Love Island?
So, I had The Apprentice for 12 years.
Oh, I know.
14 seasons, but 12 years, a lot of time. They wanted to renew me for 5 years. They were all set to do it, and I didn't want to do it. I wanted to run for. I said I wanted to run for president. Mark Burnett, who's a great guy, and the producer and all of the people from NBC, everybody came up to see me to talk me out of running. They said it's not possible to win. Nobody's ever done that. I mean, and nobody ever gives up primetime show. It was a big hit. And they wanted to do a 5-year extension. I said, no, that's actually when I knew I was going to do it. And I mean, I love doing The Apprentice. It was so successful. The big question is, did it make a difference? Would I have been president? You know, a lot of people say they created this guy from The Apprentice, and I don't know if that's true because they chose me because of the, you know, the success.
I think it was your chemistry with Bret Michaels.
Yeah. Bret Michaels was a character. We had great characters.
Yes.
And we learned a lot about, I mean, we had Dennis Rodman was great.
Oh, he was fantastic.
And we had tremendous characters on the show. We had a lot of, I mean, everybody was helped basically by being on The Apprentice. But I just wanted to do it. I saw what was happening with the country. The country was going bad. And now what they've done with the border and the wall and the whole thing, I could have built an extra 200 miles. I built much more than I said I was going to build, and it worked. I had the Mexican government giving us 28,000 troops. We had so many Mexican troops, they had no choice. They had to. Otherwise, I said, I'm going to put tariffs on your cars that you stole from. You know, they stole 32% of our car industry, okay, you know, which is not, we'll get it back. Don't worry about it. But, you know, I really felt I wanted to do it because we can make our country. The Make America Great Again is such a great MAGA, is such a great tag. And I watched Biden where he was very angry at MAGA. He said, we've got to stop MAGA. And I'm saying, it's Make America Great Again. You know, it sort of doesn't work so well, right? Make America Great Again. And that's what we'll do. If you think of it, we have 21, I believe it's 21. They say 16, but what difference? I mean, it's a lot of people, more people than any country could sustain. 21 million people, many come out of jails and prisons, slight difference between one being a little bit more harsh. They come out of mental institutions and insane asylums. They come out of terrorist schools. They come literally out of schools, but they're terrorists. We have people coming from gangs, the worst gangs in the world, MS-13, considered the meanest gang. They cut people up. They don't want to use guns. They attacked 2 young 16-year-old beautiful girls walking to school. They cut them up with a knife. They didn't want to shoot them because it wasn't painful. They both died. And these people are coming out into our country. And now you look at what's happening in, like, Aurora in Colorado. Venezuelan gangs are taking over the real estate. They're becoming real estate developers. And they have...
Do they get little cards?
They have whatever they want.
You know, like a little real estate card?
Yeah.
Mr. President.
They have their little card is a bullet.
Yes.
Mr. President, can I ask you a question? With talking about the border, not just all the young military-age men that are coming across this country, the fentanyl that's coming across this country.
It's terrible.
If you were in office, would you consider taking importation of fentanyl as a terrorist act? Because if you count it under terrorism, then our Department of Defense can get involved. We give our law enforcement a break.
Correct. Well, and you can even go further than that.
Yeah, I mean, you could send pictures of their mansions to certain individuals in Mexico.
And by the way, these are really rich people. These are the cartel people. These are really rich. Look, we can play games, and we can be nice, and we can be smart. You're never going to, I set up blue ribbon committees. Friends of mine, oh, could I get on a committee? They didn't know the first thing about it. They don't know about El Chapo. They don't know about, these are very smart, hardened people. And, you know, I'm setting up a blue ribbon committee with socialites from New York and California. It's ridiculous. And they don't even want to talk about it. They talk about it for 2 minutes, then they start talking about society. The only way you're going to stop this is the death penalty for drug dealers. I don't know if this country is ready for it, but if you think about it, each drug dealer on average kills 500 people, on average. He or she, drug dealer, kills 5. I know so many families who have lost a son or a daughter, or parents even, to fentanyl. And I had a deal worked out with China, with President Xi directly, that he was going to give. You know, China has the death penalty. I said to him, do you have a drug problem? When I first met him, he looked at me like, what a stupid question.
Exactly.
He said, no drug problem. I said, well, what do you do? Death penalty, immediate death penalty. And I said, that sounds, he said, without it, I talked to him a lot about it. He said, without it, you know, China was a drug-loaded country years ago. Other countries, much smaller, would take it over because they were all
wasted,
drugged out with the opium and the poppy, and they had a big problem. But they execute drug dealers, They have absolutely no drug problem. Singapore has no drug problem. And it's not nice to talk about, but it's the only way you're going to solve the problem. You're never going to have... Now, we got it down to great numbers, the lowest numbers, but the wall helped. A lot of things helped. But in terms of getting a drug-free country, you can't have that unless you have the death penalty for the dealers.
All right, we got to take a break.
Taking it as a maybe on Love Island.